And we are live. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to A Bookish Moment. I'm Sarah Burr.
And I am JC Kenny, and happy Wine Wednesday to everybody. And it's perfect because we're celebrating some great news from a great friend. So, Sarah, I think it's time to get bookish.
Yes, and Wine Wednesday, I'm already standing outside in a lovely vineyard, so I'm prepped for it.
Yes.
But as JC said, we are absolutely thrilled to be celebrating another new release. We've had a lot of new release folks joining us lately, and it's always been really exciting to kind of catch up with that. All of the hoopla over the drop. So Nan Reinhardt is our guest today. For folks who have been with us for a while, I'm hoping that Nan is a familiar face to you. She is a good friend of our bookish endeavors here on YouTube. Nan, it's wonderful to have you back on the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me today. I didn't think Wine Wednesday, so I'm like iced tea. But that's the wine will come if I make it through this, okay?
Yes.
Fingers crossed, we won't have any issues, and we'll get you to that glass of wine. But you've got a lot to celebrate today, and we are here. We're celebrating the release of a brand new series that is set in your beloved River's Edge. Would you like to share with our viewers who we're meeting this time around and what the book is about?
Well, we're meeting the Walker family this time around. This is the new book. It's Make You Mine, and it's the first story in the Walker family series. There's going to be 4 stories. This is Jack Walker's story, and we met Jack in book 1 of the Weaver Sisters because his brother Eli was the hero of that book. And if you recall, Jack was kind of a pain in the neck. He was kind of arrogant and kind of, thinking he knows everything. And this is his comeuppance book, because he discovers in this book very quickly that he does not know everything. They doesn't know too damn much, actually. So it was fun to write him and bring him into reality. You know what I mean? And for Maddie Ross to be the person to do it. So it was really cool to write this strong, smart career woman, which I am not particularly those things, but it was really fun to kind of just let my imagination go. And so I'm having a great time with the Walkers. I'm writing book 3 right now.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm doing revisions on it right now, which I'll tell you, you guys both know revision time is,
yeah.
Anyway.
I feel your pain, but I have to say, having read so many of your River's Edge books now, there's something about Maddie. She sparkles. I was like, I think within like the first like couple pages, I was like, okay, I'm here for this woman. And her dynamic, the relationship and how you continue to write these different relationships. I've lost count at this point how many you've written, but you've been able to. There was just something so new and fresh about how they interacted with each other. Maddie is a very like no nonsense. Like, I'm going to ask you what you think and what are you intending, and she was just. I loved her. She was so wonderful.
I'm so glad, because she's so totally not me. It was a stretch to write her. Because I wanted her to be tough. I wanted her to stand up and say exactly what she thought when she thought it, and not to be afraid of Jack just because he's her boss. And because I think a lot of times women do get intimidated by male bosses, and I really didn't want her to do that. And I was especially wanted to be aware of the job that she had previously, that she didn't leave it because she didn't feel valued. She left it because she knew that she had gone as far as she could go in that company. And so when she talked to Jack about that, I tried to make her as circumspect as I could, try to make her be, to say the right things and not trash anybody. I didn't want her to be that kind of tough woman.
Mm-hmm.
But, it was fun to write her. It was fun to bring her into the town and introduce her to everybody. I really had a good time. And making her Jerry's daughter was just a really good connection, I thought.
Yes, because Jerry is now connected to the Lang family. So there's like, and it was, it's so cool. The webs that we're seeing and these connections that are being made, and the fact that Maddie then moves into to Mac and Carly's like upstairs apartment that has kind of, popped up a couple times in earlier stories.
It is the landing place for new people in River's Edge. You're not going to believe this, but other people are landing there after Maddie.
Nice.
It's just, I think it's kind of fun to make that the place where newcomers in town end up.
Mm-hmm.
So, people may get sick of it. They may get tired of the apartment, but I love that apartment. I would love to live in that apartment. So I think everybody should.
Well, we have not newcomers per se, but we have a lot of people welcoming you to the show, Nan.
Yes, we do.
We've got Farmhouse Reader, Mizan, DHB, all saying hello. Rotorhead, cheers and congratulations from Mizan on your release. Farmhouse Reader has a glass of Chardonnay with them, so that's fabulous. Celebrating Wine Wednesday. Nan, can you tell us? So we've kind of we've talked about the fact that Jack is Maddie's boss, but can you share a little bit more for people who may not be familiar with the world of River's Edge, what Jack is the boss of and how Maddie fits into that business?
Well, Jack is the CEO of a family business called Walker Construction, and they are in a little bit of trouble right now. They're a pretty big construction company, and they've done a lot of construction, commercial and home construction along the river, but they've lost a couple of really big bids. And so Jack's in a little bit of a panic. He's worrying about that. And his crew supervisor, he has 5 crews, and his crew supervisor is retiring. And so he had to hire a new crew supervisor. And he meets Maddie for the very first time in the opening scene in a bar in her dad's hotel. And she's tending bar just as she's subbing for somebody in the bar. And he comes on to her in really tacky way. And she's not at all impressed. And then later, when she goes to interview with him, she realizes this is the tacky guy from the bar. And he realizes this is the lady from the bar that I was talking to. They don't talk about it. I don't know that, I don't think in the whole book they ever mention that first encounter they have. But he is so attracted to her from the very first moment that he just decides he can't hire her, that it would not work. It's a can I mix business with pleasure? No, I cannot kind of situation. So he doesn't hire her. He hires somebody else instead. And their relationship, that's how it starts, is that she doesn't get the job that she was convinced she was the best person for. So there we have it.
Their meeting in that hotel, like that hotel bar scene, I was like, wow, like we are getting into like very quickly with like their interactions, and like the reader is just brought in like right from the get-go. And it was just like a really like fun and spicy way it was spicy but sweet and to start things off.
Well, Jeff comes off as a little sleazy. Not really, but he just kind of was, because he's used to women being attracted to him.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good-looking, successful guy, and that's just his MO. And he's never really fallen hard for anybody in all of his 30 some odd years, and so this was a huge shock to him.
I love his like the inner dialogue that we get from him about that, because we're kind of putting Maddie's head first and foremost, but then when we get to understand Jack's like his reactions are like heart stopping when he is around her. And it was really fun to see somebody who is used to being in control, used to being the cool, collected one, just like completely melt every time that he's around her.
Yeah,
it was so good. It was so good
fun to write his brother and his cousins just teasing the socks off of him about it. They just had a great time with him falling so hard.
Well, and that's what I think makes romance especially, but I think writing in general so much fun is we are able to, as authors, we're able to take expectations and turn them on their heads.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit more about that, Nan? As like you said, he's very successful. He's used to getting what he wants, and now he's out of control, and so, talk us through your kind of like what you're thinking as you are bringing this guy from good old lunk-headed maleness into kind of realizing this is okay, maybe this is the person for me.
I think he really had to what is the word I want? He kind of had to grovel when he ended up having to hire her because the other guy did not work out, and everybody told him the other guy wasn't going to work out, and he didn't care. He did his own thing anyway, which is one of the things about Jack that his character arc, he grew out of that, was this need to always be right, this need to always be the person who makes all the decisions, and he's the one who knows best. He was that way when we introduced him back in Jazz and Eli's book, and he hadn't changed very much in the beginning of this book, that he was just always right. And when he had to go and grovel, and they told him, you got to go grovel. I mean, they were real honest about it. They didn't tell him, and he was going to have the secretary or the assistant send her a note. No, you're not sending her a note. You're going to go over there and you're going to talk to her. And so, that moment when he realized this is what I have to do to have what I want, which is at that point was the woman working for him. I think it was eye-opening for him to be able to see that he doesn't always get what he wants. And sometimes he has to depend on other people. And throughout the whole book, as his arc develops, he becomes more and more and more dependent on other people, the other people on the board, on Maddie, on his brother, and he sees that those relationships are important, not just to him personally, but to the business and to the family, So that was kind of a cool thing to do with him, to help him, grow up, for lack of a better word. But, I thought that was kind of cool.
He talks about being afraid that he's going through a midlife crisis, but it's like he's just going through like a awakening.
Yes, an awakening. Yeah, a little bit late, but he got there. So that was the most important thing.
Some of us guys aren't as smart as others, so some of us it takes a little while.
Jack is so sweet though, so that was nice. He's a good person.
We have Jenny in the chat saying congrats on the new release. Want to make sure passing along Jenny's good wishes. Also want to take a quick moment to talk about the wonderful giveaway that we have today, courtesy of Nan. Nan always comes to the show with a most bountiful, generous giveaway. And today is no different. Nan, you want to share with folks what they will be entering for the chance to win?
Sure. I've got a little box of goodies with a signed copy of a backlist book. I'm not sure which one yet. I think I might just surprise whoever wins, unless they want to tell me which which River's Edge backlist they'd like, in which case I have all of them. So if you want whatever one you want, I'd be happy to tell you to send it to you. A signed book. I think it's a handmade bracelet or wine rings. I can't remember which was it. Was it wine rings?
I think it was wine rings.
Okay. Handmade wine rings. I'm learning how to make jewelry. I can do wine rings and I can do some bracelets. I'm practicing leather bracelets. I'm not that good at those yet, so you truly don't want them. And let's see, a River's Edge notebook that has a little map on the front of it, and a gift card, Starbucks. Was that what I told you? Starbucks gift card. Okay, a $10 Starbucks gift card, and then just some other little fun goodies. I've got, just little fun, swaggy kinds of things too. So a box of goodies.
A box of treats for sure. And if folks are interested in entering for the giveaway. We have your magic word at the ready for you to type into the chat. Make sure that you are logged into your Google or YouTube account. The magic word for today is, Nan?
Custom homes.
And as people are putting in the magic word, let's talk about the custom home business and how Maddie fits into it, because she went to school for construction management, and I know it was a double major. I can't remember what the other major was, but she's just immersed herself her whole life working in construction and has kind of set her sights on this supervisor position. So do you want to talk a little bit about like maybe what you had to learn about construction to kind of put everybody together and figure out like what types of, who the different team lead names were, like all of the different roles that everybody had? I'm really fascinated to know like how the business aspect of this came together for you.
Oh, Google is my best friend. I seriously Googled so much about building custom homes and how teams work and that sort of thing. I also have a husband who's an engineer who is always ready with a good answer if I need it. So there were some things that I needed to know that I could ask him. Like what goes in first, the plumbing or the electricity, or does it all go in together? And, I had to learn about concrete, because one of the things that she tells them at the beginning is that they have to break up the garage floor and start over because it got rained on. And so there was just a lot of Googling, to tell you the truth. And it was fun and fascinating, and it will all be gone from my head because if that stuff stuck, my head would explode. But it was really interesting. And we built a house about 40 years ago. We didn't personally build it, but we had it built. And so I was there for every step of that. And so a lot of them being in the house as it's being built and that kind of thing came from my memories of being in our house when we built our house. And so it was a lot of fun to remember all that and look back at the pictures and, be reminded of that. And although that was 40 years ago and things are very different now, the other kind of fun thing to do was for Maddie created a program, an app for the company to use. And it has everybody who works on the project has access to the app. And if they bought something for the job site, they can put their receipt in, or the guys can put their hours in. And it was really, I thought it would be a fun idea for her to create this thing that would make life so much easier for everyone. And one of the really cool scenes I thought between her and Jack before they really acknowledged their attraction was him asking, "Will you show me the app? And may I have it?" And asking for it, not saying give it to me, but rather asking for it. And, for her to say, "Sure, you can have the app, but I'm not going to let you change. You can't put stuff in. You can't change things because that's too, you don't have that ability. I'm not going to let you have that ability." And he didn't fight her on that. He was like, okay, so that was kind of another moment for Jack where he had to release some control. So that was kind of cool.
I thought that the addition of the app was really cool because she just brings so much to the table that it's pretty obvious. Like when he doesn't hire her at first, it's like there's something going on here.
Speaking of surprises, we've got a question for you, Nan.
Oh yeah.
DHB would like to know. So what's the biggest surprise that you have gotten about the construction process from when you had your build to the current builds?
I think probably it happens so much faster now.
Okay.
I mean, this whole series of books, this process is happening through all 4 books. The process of building this neighborhood that they want the Japanese businessmen to see the neighborhood. And our house, I think it took like 3 or 4 months for our house to get built. And if we wanted to know what was going on, we had to drive out there where the house was being built and see it. I think, one thing that's going on now in construction is things like the app that that Maddie developed, and how everything is connected and everybody stays connected, and they're able to communicate with each other really quickly and easily. That said, there's a point in time where it's just her out there, and so a construction site is still just out there, and there's nothing out there. So in that way it isn't that different. If it's just a framed house, it's just a framed house.
I just want to caution you, Nan, since you are chatting with a couple of mystery authors, you say there's nothing out there at a construction site. Are you 100% certain there's nothing out there, in case people have been misbehaving in River's Edge? Just saying.
Well, they did find the tequila bottle, so I don't know.
Okay. Ooh, the plot thickens. Nan, we have a comment from Jenny saying, sometimes I wonder how anyone ever managed before there was Google. And I don't know that answer.
I don't tell you. I wrote my first 4 books, The Women Will Obey, without Google. And I made a lot of phone calls. In one of the books, there's a shipwreck that happened, back in the 1930s. And I didn't know anything about shipwrecks, about treasure hunting, or about anything like that. So I called a guy up in Michigan and just talked to him on the phone about if there was like cash money, dollar bills and things, would they be ruined by being in the water? And they won't, by the way. He was so helpful, unless they got pulpy from being there for too long. But he said for the amount of time that I had them in there, no, they would have been okay. So, it was phone calls. That's how you did it. And going up there, I went to Michigan, I think like 3 times. I made trips up there by myself to see the area so that I could write about it with some, knowledge. So yeah, Google is the best thing that ever happened to writers, truly.
Well, it also sounds, I'm like, you were talking earlier about like how you learned all of this stuff about construction, but you're like, I'm going to purge it from my memory. But the story that you just told, like you still remember that information because of that interaction that you have. So I wonder, like I guess there are pros and pitfalls. If I had to call people to figure out information, I don't think I could do what I do because I'm terrified. Cannot talk on the phone. I'm so bad at it. And so I'm so grateful for Google, but it does seem like there's that connection that, some people don't get to experience.
Yeah, that's true. And I will say this about retention. For years before I started thinking that I could publish what I write, I've been writing since I was 10, but actually trying to publish it was another story. I was a copy editor for nonfiction, the For Dummies books and computer application books and that kind of thing. And I used to tell people if I remembered everything that I edited, my brain would explode because but then I realized later, I recalled little things, like I did Beauty Secrets for Dummies. I remember nothing about that book except that women over 40 shouldn't put shimmery eyeshadow on, that it doesn't look good. Who knows? I don't know. So I don't wear shimmery eyeshadow for that very reason, because I read it in that book. Now, and sometimes when my husband and my son talk about things computerish, I'll hear them say a term and I'll go, I know that word. And it was because I had read it in a 900-page application Bible that I edited, but I couldn't tell you anything more than that, just that it recognized it. So even with Google, even with everything, I think research stays with you for the amount of time that you need it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're writing a series, if you don't keep a record of everything you write down as far as names and places and people's hair color and people's eye color, you're in trouble, because I can't retain what color, Connor Flaherty's hair is. He was the first book. I don't know anymore what he looks like. So if I write about him in the new book, I've got to go back and look.
I couldn't agree more about being able to retain that information, because there are definitely things that I have that I know that I have like messed up along the way because I didn't note it as meticulously, or I didn't even know that I really needed to note it down at the time. And it's just like we remember the big things and the big moments, but yeah, there's a lot to keep track of.
Yes, there is.
And because taking a look at the time, we have very little time left before our moment together winds down. So real quick, before we do announce our winner of the fabulous giveaway, we're back in River's Edge. We've been to River's Edge and seen it through many people's eyes at this point. Nan, what's something new, or how has River's Edge changed from Maddie's retelling since we last had visited there? What's new in town? Is there a new establishment that's popped up? You mentioned the business developers that are trying to like come into the area. Give us a little bit of an update about what's happening around town.
There's the orchard is going to plays a kind of a big part in this book. I don't know if you remember, you met the Dykmans and their orchard, because they're building the houses up on the hill above the orchard. The Walkers have sold, I'm not sure if it happened in this book, but it's going to in the next book if it didn't happen in this one. They've sold their party barn. That was a
barn, yeah.
The party barn was a big deal, and they sold it to the Dykmans, who are going to use it for another purpose. And let's see, what else is new? There's new people. The hotel is not new, but it has a bigger role in this book because in the new hotel that her dad owns, it's mostly new people, and people discovering Max Diner and the tea shop. And I just wrote an ice cream store into book 3.
Nice.
I want an ice cream, so I thought, why not? So book 3 has a new ice cream store. That's brand new. It's called What's a Scoop? Isn't that a fun name for
that? Is
nice.
That belongs in a cozy mystery too.
Yeah.
So but I think mostly what's happening are the people are changing. The kids are growing up, and I think that is kind of fun to watch. Because Connor's little 4-year-old girl is now 9, and Mateo from book 3 was 12, and now he's like almost 16. So kids are growing up, and people are having kids. That's another thing that's happening. The Flahertys have made it their personal mission to repopulate the entire town. I think they're up to like almost a dozen kids now between the 4 of them. So
I was wondering, thank you for clarifying, because I was like, how much time has like lapsed since we first were like introduced to the current time frame? So it sounds about
4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years. Nice, wonderful. Well, folks, if our little chat today hasn't convinced you to run out and grab your copy of Make You Mine, I don't know what will. But it was
you need to do that right now.
Yes,
I want to make the point real quick that if they start with Make You Mine, that's fine. You don't have to have read the other 10 River's Edge books to know what's going on. It's fun to start at the beginning and go all the way through, but it's not necessary.
Yes.
Every book stands alone.
And the I was, I think, first introduced with the Weaver sisters. So to see the threads kind of connect is really fun. But of course, if you're visiting for the first time, it's an equally fabulous experience. And so one of our lucky viewers today will be able to visit River's Edge with their win today as part of the giveaway. Nan, while I am drawing our winner's name, do you want to tell us if any events that you have coming up, either online or in person, and where folks can connect with you to stay up to date on bookish news?
Okay. I'm my website, nanreinhardt.com, and I'm Nan Reinhardt everywhere. I'm Nan Reinhardt on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. I'm sorry, I'm not going to call it X. And Twitter. So I'm Nan Reinhardt everywhere. I mean, it's very easy to find. And I do have some cool stuff coming up. Saturday, I'm going to be signing books at the Hamilton East Public Library's author event. They do it every year, and it's a huge author event. They don't do it at the library. They do it at an event center. It's so big. So I'm really excited about doing that book signing. And then this summer, I'll be doing a book signing at a winery up in Monticello, Indiana. And then in the fall, JC and I and several other authors will be doing our Books and Bistro.
Ooh,
Yes, we are.
that sounds
Books
really
at the Bistro signing in October in Kokomo, Indiana. So, and I'm hoping, I'm pretty sure this is going to happen. Sometime over the summer, I'll be down in Madison, Indiana, which is the inspiration for River's Edge, to speak to a writing group and to sign books. So
wow.
I've got some stuff coming up.
That'll be lovely. Oh, that'll be
Yeah.
cool to be in Madison and to be just like, hey guys, like this place
I know.
is where it all started.
Well, and I just want to send a quick shout out to Madison and Nan, because there was an article that came out last week that Madison, Indiana was recently voted the best small town vacation destination in the Midwest.
Whoa.
So, it's worth the trip. And if you can't get to Madison, go to River's Edge.
There you go. Thanks, JC.
That's really cool. Wow.
Yeah.
What an accolade. Alrighty. So for our winner of the giveaway today, for folks that entered with the winning word of custom homes, our winner is going to be Jenny. Jenny,
Hey, all right, Jenny.
congratulations.
Congrats.
We're thrilled that you were here and that you were able to join us today. So Jenny, if you wouldn't mind sending me an email to giveaways@itsbookishtime.com with your mailing address, and I will forward that on to Nan. Nan, you mentioned if there's a particular book in your backlist that if Jenny is interested in.
Yes. Jenny can go to my website, nanreinhardt.com, and all my books are there.
Perfect.
And she can look at them and read the blurbs. And if there's one that appeals to her more than others, that's the one I'll send her.
Awesome. Wonderful. So Jenny, please email me and let me know what your winning choice is, and I will get that information on over to Nan. As always, time here flies. It is always just a wonderful delight, Nan, to have you on the show to chat and catch up and see what's happening, what's new. And we certainly look forward to see what happens with the rest of the Walker clan, because we've got a lot of people that we're going to be able to go on their journey with.
Yes, we have the next book is Joe Walker, and then the one that I'm doing revisions on now is Cameron Walker, and then the last book in the Walker series is Annabelle Walker.
Okay, good. I was like, I loved Annabelle.
Yes, Annabelle's got her story.
She was a good.
And then
she was
after
good
that,
fun.
I have 4 more books to write, the Dykeman series,
Oh,
the Dykeman siblings.
You are nonstop. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like we have a lot to look forward to then. And for our viewers as well, we have more bookish fun this week for you. Tomorrow night on the Bookish Hour at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be joined by cozy mystery author Jana Rollins. We're going to be talking about her new cozy mystery, An Escape Goat, which features a Zen goat yoga retreat. So that'll be a fun and exciting chat to share with you all. So again, Nan, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everyone who joined us here live. Always a pleasure to be bookish with you. Until we meet again, everybody, be well, stay safe, and stay bookish. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.